Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Decryption, and I hope you are well. In the last tutorial, we started work on our Quest Selector demo, so we can select which quest we want to move to at any point. In the first part, we went through and set up the framework to handle this. So we have the data table, the structure, and we've plugged in all our quests, and we've also talked about the changes you have to make to your quest to make sure they work. You can't have Quest B relying on Quest A being completed in order to jump to Quest B because it just won't work. So we talk about all that cool stuff. But in today's episode, we're going to go through and make the UI for it. So you can select a quest, it teleports you into the quest, starts it, and does all that cool stuff. So let's get started. So now we can move on to the UI part of it to actually, use the quest selector. And one of the traits of making YouTube tutorials is how far do you take stuff like UI and artwork? Well, what I did is I put a poll out on my YouTube channel and got, heard from you guys. So I've come out here and I put, if a tutorial's got UI on it, such as the one we're working on now, what do you prefer? Would you want to just see a wireframe, very basic of it? Real UI? Do you want me to provide the UI? Or just show the code and then you'll do it yourself? Most of you, to my honest surprise, said real UI. I honestly thought all of you were going to say provide the UI so we can follow along, which has delayed me in a lot of videos. But it's cool, good that you've seen real UI. So that means I can crack on making my own UI and then you guys just roughly copy it, but I'll keep it super generic. But yes, that's really cool. So what I'm going to do for my quest selector is I'm actually going to reuse one of the built-in ones I've already got. And that's the narrative quest journal. So if I just come and start these quests, look, just so we've got a few examples, there we go. And if I press my 9 key temporarily, that's what I've added it to, we've got this quest log here. It looks a bit broken because I've been playing with the UI scaling. It normally looks a lot cleaner than this. But you can see, you can come in, you can see your active quest, you can click down, it shows you the objectives, and it goes from there. That's all good. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate this UI and make changes to it for the quest log. So it'll be Quest Selector, it'll show all the quests that have not been finished, which will use our data table. I'll put some logic in to show any quest that you've finished, give it a rank or whatever you want to do, and you can click down on. We'll show what we can show, and then we'll have a button saying Restart Quest, which will actually kick in everything into action. So that's what I'm going to do for mine. If you want to see how to duplicate all this UI and, mostly get it to the point before we start coding it, feel free to keep watching. But if you've got your own UI and you just want to see how we code it in, feel free to skip forward a little bit. I'll try to add chapters in so you know when to skip to. But yes, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate this UI. So assuming you're still here, you're wanting to watch me duplicate the UI, so that's all good, we'll talk through that. So I'm going to scroll down to my plugins folder, and I'll have my narrative tails, narrative UI, and we've got the widgets folder here. We have two widgets we need to modify, the narrative quest journal and the quest journal quest. This is just the individual quest that is displayed on there, right? It just uses the other quest branch and quest tasks to render all the details as well. So I'm going to take this quest journal and I'm going to scroll up to my UI folder and I'll create a new folder in here called Quest Selector. And then I will come and copy the widget we've just looked at into that folder. So that's the quest journal and I'm copying it, not moving it. There we go. And I'm going to rename this W Quest Selector. WB, because I like that. We'll open it up. There we go. So essentially, we've got this here. It, like I said, it does look odd, and that's because my scaling has been set to 4K for the UI. I can't remember which option it was. It was something I needed to do for the Cinti one to make it work. And I believe we can get around it in this instance by wrapping the overlay with a size box and set the width and height override to be what it was designed for, which was 1920 by 1080. We can set the fill screen to be desired, and you can see it's already looking a lot nicer. And you can also wrap that in a scale box, I believe you have to do it, which just makes it scale properly, like so. So instead of active quests, I'm going to rename that to inactive quests. And finished quests will just be finished quests, essentially. Because you can't really restart a quest that you were already in the middle of. That doesn't make much sense. I'm going to remove the show party quest because it's not something that I use in my game and I don't need it here. It will say, do you want to delete it because it's currently used? Yeah, I'd get rid of it, that's fine. And then I'm going to come and look at adding my button, probably in the bottom here, because I don't really know where else to add it. So I'll come and see what buttons we've got available, because there's probably a bunch of narrative ones I can probably use. I'll just probably use the button exit. I'll copy that. I'll come into the, not the description itself, but the vertical box inside of it, and I'll paste it at the bottom here. I'll make sure that it's set to only be the left side there, and I can give it a bit of padding just to make it look a bit nicer. So it's not directly at the bottom, but it is there. I'll make sure, I'll come into the image exit and I'll delete that off because I want some text, and I'll just come and add in some basic text, in which I'll set it to be start quest. Make sure I rename the button to button_start quest. There we go. So that's essentially what we've got right there. So I'll be able to click down quest there, click down and click start quest. I will add the click event for that, but we'll come on to that in a moment for people to skip forward. But we do have a few issues with the stuff we've just deleted, but that's okay. So I'll hit compile and I'll come and see where the errors are. I'll just click target. So it's checking if we've done the party quest one, which again, I don't use for mine. I don't need it here, so I'm going to delete that off. Hit compile, get another error. And that's when we toggle the party quest action. So I can get rid of that. And I can get rid of the variable as well to clean it up a bit. We've got a checked change here. That's for toggle party quests. Again, I can delete that off. And the party quest here, I'm going to delete that off as well. There we go. So it's a lot cleaner now. So before we go into actually coding it, because the people who've got their own UI will have skipped forwards, we need to just clean up some of this little bit here. And by that, I mean it's going to, currently if we spawn this UI, it's going to load all the active quests in here, all the finished quests in here, but that's not quite what we want. Because we need the active quest to essentially be ignored. Because if you're in the middle of a quest, you're not really going to restart it. We'll probably add a blocking for that. So it's only finished quests, failed quests, or non-started quests. So I'm actually going to rename finished quests to completed quests. So ones that have got a completion state. Then in the graph view here, essentially the way the quest journal works is I've tried to make it really nice and easy in the last update we did for it. So it basically comes in, does a bunch of stuff to get the current player, get the narrative component, all that stuff, right? But then it comes into the initialize, makes an empty array, and then it starts going down each individual waterfall task, if you wish. So all the in-progress quests, so we don't need that. So I'm actually going to delete the entire chunk off. Then it goes over all the failed quests and adds it to the finished quests box, which we can just come in and just quickly rename. So I'll just come back to here, find the finished quest box, just for consistency, completed quest box. And while I'm here, I'll rename this one to inactive quests box. There we go. Back in the graph view. So it comes down, it does all the failed quests, it adds it to the completed one. It gets all the succeeded quests, because that's the 3 states. Inactive, well, 4 states. Inactive, which we're adding to the top box. Active, which we're not touching at all in ours. Finished and failed, which goes into the final one. And then it goes through and updates all the quest counts for both boxes. So it just basically gets how many children in and updates the button, essentially. That's all it does, and it does it for both of them. Look, this chunk down here is when you select a quest, what it should do. It needs to go over, get all its quest details, blah, 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 blah. And whether you finished it or not, these buttons here, this one here, takes that into account, saying whether or not you should say completed or uncompleted. So we very well might easily be able to go through and find the optional ones we've not finished, which will be quite nice. It doesn't show hidden ones, so if you want that, you need to remove it there, essentially. But if I hit compile, and I'm going to leave a gap here, because that's where we are going to go and do the data table thing in a minute, which I'll re-explain for the other people. But let's just give this a quick try and just make sure it's still working before we move on. So back on my character, where I've got where I open my HUD currently, instead of the quest journal, I'm just simply going to open the quest selector. There we go. Hit play. We're in the game. Press 9. There we go. It also looks a lot nicer. That's a bit higher than I really wanted it to, so I might move that down. But we've got inactive quests, completed quests. We're all good. Let's just get some minor bits, like that one and that one. Nope, that's tab. Let's just complete one quest just so we know it moves to the other box. There we go. If I hit 9 now, you can see cube 1 is there. The active quests aren't showing. We are all good. The click event's not working, interestingly. Pretty sure that should work. Okay, so having a look at it, the reason that's not worked is on the quest selector, which I've just dragged off, when we go down all of this, we call this create quest widget button. This creates this blueprint widget here, which is the one I said about earlier, you know, the one that just displays the text here. But one thing it unfortunately does is it passes in the actual quest journal widget to go back up the chain to touch it, which isn't going to work for us, unfortunately, because we're not dealing with the quest journal widget anymore. We're dealing with a completely different widget now. So what I'm going to do is get this quest journal quest widget, and I'm going to copy it into my UI quest selector, and we're going to clean it up. So I'll call it BP Quest Selector Quest, and I'll open this one up. We could just be very basic and just change that to be our quest there, right? But I just want to show you another way while we're here, one that I'm trying to push into the narrative to make it easy to do things like this, to make it reusable. And instead of making the button go back up to the parent and the parent talk to the button, that's called a circular reference. Because if you think about it, the quest selector spawns the quest button. The quest button goes back to the quest widget. It's a circular motion, right? But there are better ways of doing it. So what I'll do inside this button here, right, is I'll just add an event dispatcher called onButtonClicked. And I'll add a input of this exact type of button. So quest selector quest. And it'll be that exact type of button. A full reference, that's fine. So BP, that one. And then instead of doing it this way, I'm just going to move this across a little bit like so. And on pressed, what I'm actually going to do is just simply call our event dispatcher like that. For the quest selector quest, I'm going to pass in self like that, yeah? And then this logic here, I'm going to delete, and we'll go click compile and save. Back into our quest selector, on this create quest widget button, I'm just going to replace it with our new quest selector button, right? Passing in the quest. We don't need to pass in the quest journal widget anymore because that's completely unused. For efficiency, we can even come and delete it off of here because we don't need it, look, like so. We'll keep everything else the same, but it wants us to change the type of this button, which is okay. We can set this to our quest selector quest button, like so. Click change variable. It's going to error about a few things, so all journal buttons will set to our quest selector one, and the return type of this function will also be our quest selector. And the return type of this function will also be our quest selector quest, like so. Hit compile, and you see we need to clean up a few bits, so re-add the add. It's one of the most annoying things in Unreal that you have to do that every time. Connect it up like that, delete the old one, and then just reconnect the new button like that. Hit compile, you see we've fixed most errors. Go back to get all journal buttons, you can see we need to re-loop over it because it's a different type now. So we'll connect that up to there, connect that up to there, connect the set selected. The set selected, we need to connect it up because that's a function built in. So we'll connect that across and down to there. And then on completed, we'll just plug it into that one for now. We can now delete these two off and bring this back up here, like so. Hit compile. We've got a few more errors we need to fix, so that's good. We can click across. So it wants to make an empty array here, so we'll just do make array. And we'll remove the first pin. There we go. We've got one more warning here, so we'll just click this one, disconnect that one, hit compile, and save. There you go. So we're all good, essentially. But we'd still have some hidden errors down here. So if you come over to the update quest counts where it loops over all our buttons and casts it, that's no longer going to work. So I'm going to drag off this and cast to our quest selector quest, and we'll just repin all of this holding control like so. Delete that off, put that back up there. We can get the quest from it, and we can plug that in over here. This show quest one is erroring because the journal button isn't there anymore. So I'll select this function, this event here, just set the data type to be quest selector quest, the blueprint. Then down here we can just drag off and do set selected, just like we had to above, but we want to tick it this time, like so. There we go. And then back over here, we can just connect this across to the journal button like so. And just make sure that you connect this one to there like that, otherwise it's never going to actually use the button anywhere. And that's on the create quest widget button. So that's it, it's pretty much changed it over now. And if we try it this time, if we pick up this quest 1, pick up the quest 2, go and complete quest 2, press number 9, you can see we've got there. If we select this one, then it's exactly the same as it was, but we can now activate the click event. So this is what I was talking about earlier. The logic we've just put in there makes it a bit more reusable because we're using the event dispatcher instead of casting back up, right? That is a nicer way because it stops the circular reference. However, it's not the nicest way in the world, which is something I'll fix in the future, because we still had to rechange a bunch of buttons and events over to the new type. That's where interfaces come in to be invaluable for something like this. Because we wouldn't have had to change all the data types, we'd just say this interface, call this function. It doesn't matter which button it is, call this function. Store this interface. So it would have been a lot nicer. But it's a lot easier of a change, and doing it this way stops the circular reference. But now I ask you, say, well, it still doesn't work. How do we make the clicker works again? Well, that's super easy. Because at the moment, whenever we spawn the button in Create Quest Widget here, we just spawn the button, say, here's your quest, go and do your own thing, right? But what we're going to do is just after this, where it's added it here, before we return it, we're going to get our button, we're going to bind on button clicked, which is our new event dispatcher we added to it. We'll connect this in the middle of here, and then from this event here, I'll drag down and call create event. And just for any of you that have used event dispatchers before, you won't be able to call assign because we're inside a function. So you'll have to call bind and do it manually. Bit annoying, but it's okay. And I'm going to call create matching event, where I'm going to call this one quest button clicked. And this is with just clicked a quest button. So I can drag off this here, and I can do get quest, which will be the quest from the button. And from here, I can just call our show quest, passing in the quest we want and the button, just like that. So now the child doesn't care about the parent at all. There's no circular reference. The parent spawns the child up here, binds to the click event of it, and this button goes, hey, I've been clicked, hey, I've been clicked, that's it. Yeah? It just says, hey, I've been clicked. And then the parent listens for that and goes, hey, you've been clicked, show the quest. And that should essentially fix it, and it's a little bit cleaner of a way to design a UI. So I'm not going to complete, I do need to complete the quest. So I'll complete the quest super quick. I'll press the number 9, and you can see if I click it this time, boom, we can see all the details for that quest. Of course, it's not a massively long quest, so you don't see a super amount for it. But now we can move on to the code side. So if any of you have just rejoined us, we've changed over the UI to do exactly what we want, and we've made it look like this. So we've got a start quest button at the bottom with an empty click event currently. We've got a list of inactive quests, which is currently empty because we haven't done that part yet. And we've got a list of all the completed quests, which was already built into the system because we've reused it. So I can come and start this in progress quest, start this quest here, quickly complete it. If I press my 9 key, you see we've got our quest selector. I can click cube, and I can see this completed quest down here, and I can click start quest to restart it essentially. But this is where we're going to come back in and start populating the inactive quests and making the start quest button work now. So I'll head back over to our new UI here, and essentially we'll start with the inactive quests. For those who didn't watch the UI part, the way this system very basically works is it comes in to the event dispatcher, gets the current component you need to load the missions with, loops over all the failed quests and the succeeded quests and place them in the completed quest box below, and then it updates all the quest counts for all the buttons that are in there. We did have an in progress quest one here, but we're not doing that in this quest editor because we only want to restart quests that you're not currently in the middle of. So this is where we can now start using our quest data table. So I'm going to drag across from the very beginning of it before it starts loading all the failed and completed quests. And I'm going to do get data table row names. So we get all the row names. Inside this data table, I'm going to get the quest selector. So that's going to be our new fancy data table up there. And now I can loop over this here. So that's looping over all the rows. From here, I can drag off of the array element and do data table row. Get data table row from the data table of Quest Selector, and this has given us the actual row inside of it, which we can break on now, which is right there, look, nice. So we don't actually need to worry about any of these options in here, just a quest for now. These are only an issue when we start clicking on the button and starting the quest. So I'm going to drag off the row found and use our create quest widget button here, and it wants the quest that we're currently doing. However, the quest it wants is actually an object, an in-memory object quest, which we don't have currently because we're storing everything as soft reference for the efficiency. So what I'm going to do is modify our create quest widget button here. I'm going to drag the quest back into it to have 2 quest nodes. But the second one, I'm going to call softRef, and I'm going to set it to a soft class reference like that. Make sure the quest is still plugged in like that. I'll then come and modify our Quest Selector quest of widget here, which is the new button we created, and I'm going to duplicate the quest and do the same thing. Quest softRef, and I'll set this to be a softRef class like so. So in here, we only actually use the quest in one place, and that's just to get the quest name here. But we can't use the quest name for a quest class directly. So what I'm going to do is drag this off and say, if we have a softRef here, and if it's valid, I'll add a branch. If it's not, we've passed an object to it. I'm just going to tell it to go and get the quest name by default like so, right? But if it is valid, I'm going to get our quest softRef and I'm going to async load it in, connect it to the true. I'll resolve it here. And then from here, I'm going to get class defaults. And we are going to hide everything except for the quest name. And then we can essentially do this exact same thing here, but we just passed the quest name in like so. So it doesn't matter if we've passed it a live object for a quest that's got history or a completely inactive quest there, it will get the quest name. Everything else in here is just storage and sorting it out to look pretty, right? Then back on our quest selector, we can pass in the quest to the quest softRef here, and we can hide everything else in here like that. So it's now going to at least create the quest button. On the inactive quest box, I'm just going to call add child, and we'll pass in the return value like so. So now that should build up a list of all the inactive quests from our data table. The only issue is when we click that button here, because when we click it, it's going to call this quest event here. And one last thing, just while I am here, make sure you connect the softRef to it so we don't run into an issue later. It calls quest button clicked here, which comes all the way down here and calls this quest here, passing in the quest. But we don't have the in-memory quest, we have a soft reference for it. So how do we make it work? Because we really shouldn't be going through constructing it to find out, to load it all in memory just as soon as we need to click it. That's a bit much. So what I'm going to do is on show quest up here, instead of getting the quest and passing it in like we're doing there and just using it, I'm actually going to come and make a large amount of space all the way over the other side of here, where we're moving basically everything across like so. Yeah, there we go. From the journal button, I'm going to drag off and get soft quest softRef. I'm going to make sure it's a valid soft reference, and I'm going to make even more space because I massively underestimated how big this is going to be. So we'll make a lot of space, and I'm going to add a branch, connect it up to there, and connect it across like so. If it's true that we've got a soft quest reference and we've clicked on it, then I need to load that into memory. So again, we'll async load it, and don't forget it's already async loaded it in an aspect. So if it's not loaded, it will load it back in. Otherwise, it'll be instantaneous when we click it. And I'll resolve it as well. And from here, I can now get class defaults again. Because if you imagine it, if we've got a completely empty quest, there's nothing in it. There's no progress, there's no history, there's nothing. So we can just use the defaults inside of it. And we can start going across here, and anywhere it's using the quest, we can basically update it to do what it needs to do. So if it's false on the branch, because it's not got a soft reference, I'm going to make it come down to the for each loop just like so. If it has got a quest, I'm going to store this as a variable called current quest softRef. And we'll connect it across and connect that to the for each loop as well like that. Move that up to make it a bit cleaner. So it comes over here, it sets all the buttons on the entire system it's generated to unselected except the one we're dealing with. It sets the current quest based on the quest we've passed in, which is going to be empty in some cases, so we can ignore that. It comes across, it does some more bits. This is where we need to do the first change. So it's getting the quest name and populating the quest title for what we've clicked on. But we haven't got a current quest because in some aspects it's a soft reference. So what I'm going to do is come up and create a new function. I'll select this, right click and collapse the function, and I'm going to call it get quest details. I'm going to place it right here and connect it across like so. This quest details is going to basically return everything we need from the correct quest we want it for. So the quest name is there, that's one we need. I'll come across, we need the description of the current state. Well, we've not really started it yet, but we can paste this in anyway. I'll make it a variable. For the inactive quest, we'll put some text there. The quest description of the current quest, we can add that in, like so. And I'll keep coming across. The reach states will return that. Anywhere it's using the current quest variable, I'm basically copying the logic of it and putting it somewhere else. The current state, we can put that into there. And that looks to be it for now. So back on our get quest details here, what I'm going to do, I'll get the current quest soft ref, which isn't a soft ref directly, it's a class, but we can leave that for now. And I'm going to say, is it valid? If it's a valid class, then it means we've loaded it in memory because we need to use it. If it's false, we'll just do the default one. So return all the default logic like so. However, if it's true, then I'm going to get the current soft ref and we're going to do get class defaults. And I'm going to now replace all of this with this. So quest name, quest description. The description down here was the current state. So it's what's the current state of it? Unstarted or inactive, anything you want. The reach states, we can drag it across, but it'll be empty. And the current state will just be our start state, like so. Hit compile. Now back on our event graph, that function that we've loaded in here is now loading all of those details so we can start passing it around. So the current quest description will pass into there like so and remove those three. The quest description, I'll pass into there like so. Feel free to turn these into variables if you want it a bit cleaner, but the reach states, we can actually just promote it to a variable right here, look. So I'm going to copy that set back over here, just after the title here. We'll just put reach states directly into there like so. And then it's preset for it here down here. We don't need to do that anymore. We could just drag off and do get reached states. There we go. We can move this back across a bit. The current quest current state here is the final one we need. So what I'm going to do is just promote this to a variable so we don't have to drag it all the way across. Current quest current state, like so. And we'll drag this across, connect it up, and connect it up. Hit compile, drag across, and we'll just fix this little one here. Current quest current state, and we connect it to there like so. There we go. So that's all now connected up. This is probably not going to run because we haven't reached any states, but we can look at what to do with that if we want it to work that way. And we have a warning that reach states isn't currently supported at this time. So I'm just going to disconnect that and let it run without it, because reach states, you've not started a quest, you've not reached anything, so that's fine. And the last thing we need to do, just back here on this current quest, it just says if it's valid, we no longer need that because we've built it in a generic way. Whether it's an in-memory quest or a soft reference, it should work without the is valid, and it'll go through and check everything there. So if we just give it a quick test now, and before we pick anything up, we can just press the number 9 key and we can see all of our inactive quests, which is very cool. We can come and select them and you can see it will give us what the basic description is. These don't currently have descriptions on, so that's why it looks a bit pants. So if I just come here, destroy the walls, burn the enemy camp's walls. There we go. And if I do the same for this cube, the cube is a lie. The orcs praise a random cube, take it. Just so we've got something, better. If I press it this time, you can see destroy the walls, the cube is a lie. Stolen goods, they're the inactive quests. If I select them, you can see it shows the details saying they are unstarted currently for the objectives, which is very cool. If I, of course, come and select this one, come and complete the quest, like so, press number 9, you see it's not currently moving it down here, but that's just because we've not connected it up, but it's looking good. So back on the Quest Selector widget here, firstly, let's fix it not carrying on. So when it initializes it and it goes over all the inactive quests, we're just going to drag the completed down to here so it moves on to the next ones. But we're going to run into one issue now, and that's if I select this quest here to make it in progress, select this quest here to make it active, and I complete this one, the issue we're going to have if I press number 9 is, as you can see, we've got multiple quests now. We've picked up destroy the walls. That's an active quest. It shouldn't be showing there. The cube is a lie is already completed down here. So why is it showing in both? We need to fix that. And the reason is just the order we've done it for now. On the quest selector, it comes in and the first thing it does is initially go over our data table. And that adds every single quest in the entire game, no matter the state. But then down here, it also adds the failed and succeeded ones as well. So we're actually going to flip our logic around at the moment, because this data table stores every single quest in our game, whether you've completed it, failed it, in progress, or whatever. So what we're going to do is have the failed and the succeeded quests generate first, but we're going to log which quest they are actually producing in these two, so we don't have to do any more lookups later. After that, we're going to loop over and get all the active quests, and we can ignore them as well. And then as we're finally looping over this at the bottom, only then we're going to add the ones that we haven't touched in any of the other arrays. So what I mean by that, we're going to take this get data table row names and all the add children stuff, all of that there. We're going to cut it, Control or Command X. We're going to move just the failed and the succeeded ones up here, and we're going to connect it to there like so. Then just above this update quest counts, I'm going to paste in the code we just had right here, and I'm going to connect the completed to this one here, and the completed from this one down to the branch right there. And then each time we process a quest in here, so I'm just going to go inside the create quest widget button, we're processing the quest here and the quest soft ref. I'm going to make a bit of space at the beginning here. From this quest here, I'm going to check if it's valid. Because if it's invalid, then we've got a soft ref, so that's something different. But that is not valid, I'll just connect to the create. That is valid, I'm going to get the quest and do get class. Because we just need the quest class, we don't need anything else. I'm going to promote this to a variable called cached quests, and I'm going to delete this variable straight off. I'll then right click the cached quests for data type to turn it into an array, drag it in and choose add. So this is going to be connected to the isValid and the create right there, and connect the quest to it there. So every time this function runs, it's going to log all of the quests that we've currently processed already. So it'll go over all the failed and log them, all the succeeded and log them, and then it'll come into the data table. And now we're going to come over and we're going to loop over all the quests here. And then before we create the quest widget here, I'm going to drag and make a bit of space. And I'm going to say from this quest here, and then what we want to do is we want to check before we actually create the widget if we've already used this quest or not. Because if we've already added it to failed or completed, we don't need to deal with it. So we can drag the cache quests in, and you'll notice we've got two different types here. While we can technically drag off the cache quests and do contains, we can't connect a soft reference to a class because it's not loaded in memory, so you'll get errors. But since we can't go from a soft reference to a class, what we can do is go from a class to a soft reference, because all it is a path essentially of where it's supposed to be. Back on the create quest widget button here, what we can do is convert the quest to a soft class reference, click change, that's fine, and we'll redo the add, so we'll connect it back up just like normal. And then what we can do is drag from the get class to the soft reference to convert it to a soft reference. Because it's already in memory, we can convert it to something that's supposed to be in memory, which is good, but we can't do it the other way around. But now that we've converted that over, that means back on our event graph here, we can redo the contains, and we can pass the quest directly into it, look. And we can add a branch, make some space, and say only if it's false, that we've not used it before, then we can add it to it like so. So if we wrap this in a nice comment to keep it all together, add any other remaining quests to inactive. And let's give it a try now. So you'll see if I play it, I'll just grab this one and I will click number 9 key, and you can see everything's been added there because none of them have been completed. If I grab the easy quest and go and complete it, there we go, and I press 9 now, you see it's no longer at the top. We can see these two quests which are unstarted, and we can see this quest here which is completed. How cool is that? Now we do have one minor error that I've left in, because if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I like to keep the debugging side in so you can know how to fix a system if it comes to it. But if we play it and we start this quest here, just to claim it's in progress, get this one, and we go and complete it, right? Like normal, we're all good. Press number 9, it shows where it should do. But if we click this one, it's saying it's unstarted. So what I'm going to do is just leave the game playing and jump over to our widget, and when we click it, it should call show quest eventually. So I'm just going to press F9 or right click and choose toggle breakpoint on the branch. If we come and click it again, you can see it is going through, it is running the click event, which is all good. If I hover over this isValid soft reference, it says false. That's true because it's a completed quest, that's not our new system. So I'll press F10 and it should skip the async, which it does, and it comes into here. Now all of this is just setting all the buttons, so that's not an issue. So I'm going to click this set, press F9 again, and just click play to skip straight to it. and I'll press F10, F10, and this get quest details is our key function that gets all the details. So I'm going to double click into this and look in here. I'll press on this branch, press F9 and click play again, and we'll look around in here. Current quest soft ref should be empty because we've not using it, but you'll see it's currently true. So because it's true, it's going up here and getting the details from the last soft reference. Why is this currently true? So if we stop it running and have a look at our event graph, we can just remove the triggers for the breakpoints for now. We come across, right at the beginning, we set the current soft ref here, but we never unset it again. So what I'm going to do on false is just set that to nothing like that. So it's invalid. So if it's processing a current soft ref, it will have the soft ref class. If it's processing a not soft ref, so a quest object, it will unset it there to make the quest details work properly. So if we try it this time, and I get this one, just complete the quest, and press 9, you see it's there. If I click these two, it says unstarted. If I click this one, it successfully shows the correct details of the quest. There we go. How cool is that, ladies and gentlemen? You can see it's also counting properly now as well, which is very, very good. I can come and start this quest, burn the walls, and I can burn this one. The quest has now succeeded. If I press number 9, you can see both quests are now down here. I can see the details, and I can see this one is stolen. This one is unstarted. Very, very cool. So the final thing we want to do on the UI now is just make the actual quest selector work. So if I come back over to the designer, select our start quest button and scroll down to the onClicked and open this up, we've got a basic onClick event right here. So what we want to do is if we are starting a soft ref class, so a quest we've not got any history of, we can start that one, but we need to load it. If we're starting a current quest, we can just load it directly. So let's drag in our current soft ref quest class here, because we set that when we click it here, and I'll say is valid, and if it's a valid class, I can connect it up. If it's true, then you can just basically start that quest. So for me, I'm going to get owning comp. I'm going to get the narrative comp, so that's the how I start my quest, that's the narrative component, and I can call begin quest, passing in the current soft ref class, like so, to the true. However, if it's false, then I need to get the current quest variable that was stored, drag off and do get class, and then now I can essentially do the same thing here, but passing in the new different value. So that's essentially it working, but we need to actually apply our custom logic to it to what it's supposed to do. So by that, I mean our custom data table, whether we should move the player or anything like that. So if we take a look at our data table, the only way we can currently find which one it is either by looping over the data table and comparing every single quest, which is quite messy, or we can just store the row name for a quick lookup. So back on our WB Quest Selector, on the event graph, as we're looping over all of these data tables here, what I'm going to do is make a bit of space just before we create the branch to store the widget, and I'll keep this break back here, and I'm going to promote the array element row name to a variable called quest map, and then I'm going to delete it off. I'm going to select this map and I'm going to convert it from a name to from a single to a map type there. I'll set the secondary one to be a name and the first one to be a type of quest, and I'll set it to a soft class reference. And then I can drag this map in and I can just call add at the beginning, connect up our quest to the quest version and the array element to the name version, like so, and then carry it on. So what this is doing is, as it's looping over all the quests to add in the remaining ones, before it goes off and ignores creating it, we're going to store it all in a little map, a super quick dictionary or an indexed array if you wish. And it's got the row name in it, so we can easily find it again, and the quest that it needs to be. That way, we're not storing absolutely everything that we store in the data table. We're just storing the absolute pure minimum we need to. Then right at the bottom, before we call begin quest here, what we can do is make some space, and we can get our quest map, and we can just do find. And all it wants is a soft object reference for whichever class we're looking at. So I'm just going to create a super quick function just to make this a bit quicker and tidier. And I'm going to call it get current quest softref. And all this is going to do is the same thing as here. It's going to do a branch, and I'm going to do these two bits there. So we'll just paste it in here. So it's going to do the branch on the current softref. If it's true, we'll return that. If it's false, we'll return this. So I'll just drag off the true and do return. I'll connect the current softref into there, but I'll change it to a soft class reference, and then disconnect it and reconnect it to do the join. And then I'll do the exact same thing down here and just connect it across like so. So now we've got a super quick function to just do that logic for us. I'll tick pure just to make it a bit nicer. On the event graph down here, we no longer need this or any of these essentially. We just need the begin, because our new function can just give us exactly what we need. The quest map we can put down here and just connect it straight to it like so. So that's going to go off and load what we need. If it's true, it means we've not run into an error, just for safety. But now that we've got the name of it, we can just drag off the true and do get data table row, passing the row name to it. And from the data table, we can just do quest selector. And now we've re-got, without having to store it in memory, super quickly, all of the details we need. So I'll add a branch, connect it to the move player to location. If it's true, then I will do get all actors of class with tag. The class is going to be a target point, and the tag is going to be the tag we've stored. Once we've got that, I will do get on the first one. Once we've got that, I will just do is valid index, and we'll just add a branch here just to make sure it can find it and there's no glitches. If it's false, it can't find it, we'll add a print string, error, can't find quest tag. However, if it's true, then we can get the player pawn, and I'm simply going to do set actor location. And from the out actors, I will do get, and then we can do get actor location now that we've confirmed that it exists, and we can connect that up to there like that. And then finally, we can drag the narrative quest back here and say begin. And for the quest class, essentially we can just use this get quest softref again, or you can promote it to a variable, either way, but it's going to be super quick anyway, like that. Just in case Unreal's garbage collection runs, it might be safer to just call async there and mark it as completed. It should be in memory, but you never know. If you're running low on memory and Unreal's garbage collection runs, it might remove it. We'll just call resolve, and we'll connect it to there like so. File and save, and we should be all good. So let's give it a try now then. So if I start it here and run all the way over here, see, we're nowhere near the starting location. If I hit 9 and say, oh, I want to do the cube is a lie and click start, boom, we've moved to the correct location and the quest has started. We do need to hide the menu, but we'll do that in a minute. So I'll complete it there. You see, we're all good, but I enjoyed that mission. Let's do it again. Cube is a lie, start the quest, boom. We've started, and you see it's still saying succeeded because we've already completed the quest. We need to tell narratives to, hey, forget that you've ever done the quest so you can redo it. Some quest systems will allow you to double up the missions, some won't. And we also need to hide the UI. So back on the quest selector, just before what we call begin quest, what I'm going to do is get the same narrative component and just call forget. You may have to do this for your system, you may not. Connect it up and connect that to the quest class like so. So that's going to forget the quest and restart it. And then finally, we just need to hide this menu. So since it's a common UI menu for me, I can just call deactivate widget. If you've got a normal non-common UI, you just call remove widget. Let's try it this time. So I'll run all the way over here, not where I need to be. 9, select the cube as a lie, start quest, boom. Quest has started. Let's complete it. We're all good. Let's press number 9 again. I want to do the cube is a lie, start quest. We are back and it has restarted the quest. How cool is that? Come over here, I can complete it. Press number 9 and say, oh, I want to do destroy the walls this time. Start the quest, we're all good. And because we fixed the quest, you see the walls have respawned. We can of course come in, cube is a lie, start the quest, boom. Technically we've soft locked our game now. We can never finish the, the other quest, because we've destroyed the walls by jumping quests. But that's just something you can build into your game, really. Technically, we could add something into our struct that says forget this quest or an array of quests if they are going to cause issues. But it depends on exactly how you want your game to work. It could be tricky. It might, there's so many ways to go around it depending on the quest. We never did use the is main quest, but that's something you can use if you really want to. More of a flag if you want to add it to the UI or something. It's just a popular one to add. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There is a very basic quest selector. So you can see we've got 3 quests. You should always have 3 quests. So if I do cube is a lie, start the quest, it's in progress. We can see it's showing as inactive, but that's just because we haven't got a section for in progress quests. You can also remove them if you want to. But because we've added the forget, I can even make it do it in the middle of a quest. Just forget, look, there you go, it'll restart it. I can come in and do destroy the walls. It adds the walls back up. You can see the walls is still there. I can go to cube is a lie. I can also start that one. You can see it's all good. Run down here. I can start this. 9. You can see we've got the 3 quests. Start the quest. The walls are back up. There we go. How cool is that, ladies and gentlemen? One last thing I'm just going to do for the UI people is I want it to be full screen. It's not full screen at the moment for some reason. And my guess is we just need to move the overlay around. So we've got the background blur and that inside here. So what I'm going to do is just put a size box around the overlay instead of the background blur. And I'll set the width and height of this to be 1920 by 1080. So I'm going to right click the size box, replace with child, just to remove it. And I'll do the same for the box there. So now we remove the size box and the scale box to the inside only. But we also need to add the scale box to the size box. So right click, right with scale box. There we go. So if we try it this time, you'll see it scales properly. All the background is blurred out and this is in the middle. How cool is that? So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that was a nice little look at a quest selector. It's going to be really, really useful. If you would like to see the editor script, which automatically populates all of this with as much detail as it can, obviously we can't populate it with everything, such as the is it a main quest, yes or not. You'd have to add that directly into your quest system to track that. Or which location it's meant to move to. Again, you'd have to either store it or find some way around it. But it's very, very cool. It's going to be really useful, and players love that stuff when they can go back and fix it. If you would also like us to expand this further and make it so you can see some objectives for the inactive quests, let me know. I don't think most systems do that, so I don't know how I know how to do it, I just don't know how far we take it, essentially. Like, which paths do you go down on branching quests? But yeah, but let me know below. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was helpful. If you've got any other suggestions, please let me know below. My name is Decryption, and I will see you next time.